We'll just hand it around, I think. Or okay. Ah, cool. All right, so maybe let's go through one by one. Everyone introduces themselves and let us know how much you know about Bitcoin. And that can be anywhere on the spectrum, but like, how did you hear about it, if you heard about it at all, and yeah, what do you know about it?
My name is Albert, and when I heard about Bitcoin was in 2010 or something. At the time, some of my friends offered me to buy a little. And now I'm regretted I didn't buy it very much, because now I would be a millionaire, because the price goes like something like this.
Yep.
So I have generated some because it was interesting, but overall what I'm interested is to know what the economics under it, what kind of business is under it, and what it's going to be in the next 5 years, because it's nothing like to be in 1 or 2 years in everybody's pocket, but maybe 5 years it will be a very big something, a very big game changer.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Mari. I'm English, and I've heard about this for the first time today, and actually I don't understand much about it, so...
All right, perfect.
Repeat.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, I'm Vachagan. I'm a software developer at VMware. I first time heard about Bitcoin at 2011 or maybe earlier. Bought my first Bitcoins over a year ago or so, and also, I lost a few of them in several frauds. I actually got more of them because the price was over 300 back then, but now it's doubled or so. I'm actually mining Bitcoin. I am running a few ant miners, and I think I know pretty much about it.
All right, cool. And yeah, you guys know me already. So my first question would be like, what do you think are like the important things to people when it comes to finance? Like, what kind of features does a payment system need to have for people to want to adopt it? And maybe we'll go like in reverse order. So what do you think? Or yeah, you first then.
Well, compared to traditional fiat currency, for me, the Bitcoin is all about advantages. First of all, the fact that it's not controlled by any, governmental or even worse, non-governmental authority. The size of Bitcoins that can be ever mined are limited, and that means that it's not like some banks that can print currency whenever they need them and manipulate the price. Also the anonymity, the ease of use, and the fact that I'm actually the only responsible man for my money to be safe. And if I lose, I know that's my fault to lose my money. The fact that I feel the actual control about all of my finance.
Okay.
I will speak first. The question was,
what's important about a good payment system?
Alright. In my opinion, right now it's pretty much we have a lot of payment systems. We have PayPal, and I have a Skrill, which is money bookers, and I have plenty of them registered. But in fact, I think like right now there's a lot of cash operations going on. There's a lot of things like you don't want to somebody to see, like you have to pay for that. And in my opinion, very soon this type of the payment system will come to change this cash operations. We still have a lot of cash operations. In some countries like Germany, people hate payment systems. They hate credit cards, guys. You probably know, like, the Europeans are quite advanced. They have a lot of credit cards and things like that, but it's not. Armenia is much more advanced in that sense. In Germany, people don't have credit cards, guys. Most probably they cannot even pay anything online. Alright, they might have some, but the idea is those people really try to share all this private information. They don't want to do that. And that's where I think that the new type of the payment system will come. I mean, they will come and those people will say, okay, it's pretty much like cash. You can do the transaction. It's not anonymous. In fact, it's called anonymous, but it's not. You can see where it started. And it's open. I mean, all over the web you can see where the transaction started and where the money came. But because of these changers and exchange platforms, pretty much you can do that way, like nobody will know where it came from. And same goes, of course, PayPal and other things. But right now, I think this new type of the payment system will come to change this cash operations that people are still doing, and it will be a huge amount. This is the long tail process. I mean, right now you are paying for the big things like a TV. You're not going to go to the shop to buy a TV for 2,000 euro. You're going to pay with credit card. But overall, there's a lot of small operations here you don't want to do with credit card. So that's I think okay. We can talk about usability and other stuff, but I think that's the main thing, the main reason that the new type of the payment system we need a lot.
Yeah, so one thing that comes up a lot for us is that we observe that within payments, behaviors are very sticky. So if people have a solution that they're used to, like for example, if someone's used credit cards all their life, they will stick with it. If someone's used checks all their life, they will stick with it. In the US, there's still a lot of people using checks, and it's been quite mind-boggling for the payments companies to wrap their heads around. Whenever there's new technology, the adoption is just so slow on both the merchant and the consumer side. Like right now, we have these like tap and pay, and in emerging markets, like there's a lot of markets where these things spread quite a bit and people like use them a lot. But in the U.S., which you'd think would be this really advanced country, like no one uses it. And kind of to echo what you said about Germany, like totally true. Like everyone uses cash there, and then. In the US, for example, they're like when you do a bank wire transfer, you pay like $10, $15, and it takes 3 to 5 days. And I know in Armenia it's like next day, right? And it's free, right? And it's like for some reason, like for these the developed countries, so-called developed countries, are like completely lagging behind on this technology. And I wanted to like you kind of snuck out there, so I wanted to ask you like, do you have credit cards? How many do you have? And do you use cash or credit card? What do you prefer?
I prefer to use cash, but there are some cases when I use my credit card, but for very few.
Like what kind of situations would you use credit card?
When I have to do online shopping, in that case I use that. In general, I prefer cash.
Okay. So yeah, it's like if people are used to cash, it's kind of hard to like sell them on electronic currencies. Why do you think people might use electronic currencies over cash?
Well, if there might be several reasons. The major reason is that you are getting much easy environment to operate with your money, because in case of Bitcoin it's 10 minutes maybe for a transaction, but there are currencies that do the transaction instantly, and you see that it's arrived, you are okay with that. In case of fiat currencies, that's not about the minutes or even hours, it's days. I didn't experience anything about that. I didn't have a transaction that took at least shorter than a day. Also, for those who like traveling and have problems with converting their local money to other currencies and got fraud, screwed up, they like these people very much because they are all over the world, a lot of local businesses, and now are the huge ones who are starting to accept the Bitcoin. Recently, eBay announced that they are considering Bitcoin as a payment system, and I think this will be a major improvement over the usual currency that will bring cryptocurrency to the globe, to the masses.
So one of our investors is Google, and so talking to some of the executives there, like for example, Google, one of their biggest programs is obviously AdSense and AdWords, and it's used around the world. It's used in developing countries just as much as it is in developed countries. And one of the cases that they were talking about was Nigeria. There's a lot of people who have websites in Nigeria. They make money with their websites through AdSense, AdWords, but there's just no good payments infrastructure. And what a lot of people end up doing is like someone in the village will have a credit card, and they will use that. Like everyone in the village will use that one credit card, and so if that gets shut down, suddenly like a bunch of people are without their revenue from their website. So for Google, that's a big problem, and so for them, they just want to have some way to reach these people and be able to have them as customers in a way that's like more secure and less cumbersome than sharing your credit card. And it's just amazing that is still a problem, given that people do have access to the internet and they do have computers. So why can't they have like access to a financial system as well?
Can I have a quick comment about that? So one of the major things now, the problem for the Bitcoin is that the blockchain is around 5 gigabytes already. Yeah, and in small devices, especially mobile phones, not all of them can be 5 gigabytes and have all the processing power. So what they are doing, they're introducing new services which are an intermediate level between the customer and the Bitcoin, which totally blows the Bitcoin concept, anonymity and actually having privacy of some kind. Do you know any other solutions for this?
So there is a method called simplified payment verification, and that method goes all the way back to the original Bitcoin paper. And the kind of way that works is normally the Bitcoin assumption is that you don't have to trust anyone to verify transactions because you're doing it. So no matter what blocks people send you, you know they're valid because you've replayed the entire history and you've verified everything for yourself. But if you don't want to get to that level, if you don't need quite that level of security, and arguably in practice you really don't, then what you can do is you can just wait for transactions to be confirmed, and that's, for example, what the Android wallet does. And once you see it getting confirmed, you can kind of say, okay, I haven't verified it, but these guys have, the miners have, and so I just trust their judgment, right? One of the problems that you have with that is that it's very hard to find your own transactions if you haven't looked at the whole history. So there, again, I don't want to get too technical, but there's solutions for that as well, where you're requesting from the network only the transactions that you're interested in. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely solutions for that. With Ripple, for example, one thing we do is in every block we include a hash of a map of the current state. So if you have the current block, you really don't need the history. You can verify anyone's balance just against the current block header. And that makes it a lot more secure to be using lightweight clients, because they can essentially use the same security assumption that a full client would, without having to validate themselves. Okay. Any other comments from you guys?
If you are curious about anonymity, there are a lot of services like dark wallet where I believe it's totally anonymous, because for example, I'm sending you 5 bitcoins to your dark wallet account. It's an ordinary bitcoin address I'm sending to, but you actually getting your money from I don't know, 5 or 100 different addresses with totaling of 5 bitcoins. And I don't believe that it's possible to track you down and
it's always possible, but it's much harder.
The all about the Bitcoin is that it's possible to break it, but it's so much harder that you won't possibly spend that much resources on that. So regarding the anonymity, I don't think that's an issue.
Yeah, so in general, like what you can always do is you can put money into a big pool and then take it out of the pool again. That's what all of these services boil down to. And kind of the amount of anonymity that you gain depends on how large the pool is. And I have to kind of be careful talking about this because this is exactly what money laundering is. On Ripple, we certainly don't want people to do that. But yeah, the technology exists, I guess, for other networks.
Also, there are I think there are implementations of Bitcoin wallet that are not considering all the blockchain to be downloaded. There are short-term versions that allow you to do that if you're interested.
I was developing Bitcoin clients.
I would like to come down to the more practical use of things. Like in Armenia, I know all of you are probably experiencing the taxi payment, right? You have to pay the taxi and the taxi driver says, oh no, I don't have any change. You have to pay me like exactly what it is, or of course you can pay a little more. But like, who have ever used Uber?
All the time.
You cannot even imagine how cool it is to use Uber for the taxi because it's getting from your credit card and it's all exact and all where you have to pay. And let's imagine like we want to have a app for with a Bitcoin running on Bitcoin for a taxi in Yerevan. What it would be look like? What do you think?
So I think the really cool thing about Uber is, people talk about what is the optimum payment experience, like is it swiping or tapping or clicking or pushing or whatever. And with Uber, it's just nothing. You just get in the car, you drive where you want to go, and you exit the car, and the payment somehow magically happens in the background. And I totally think that the future is with services like that, where you're purchasing something, and in the act of purchasing it, they already know your account or whatever, so the payment is just taken care of for you. And then you have a lot of leeway in terms of if the payment system is complicated or it's cryptographic or whatnot, you don't have to worry about it. It just happens automatically. So I think that that's a big opportunity for Bitcoin because that's one of Bitcoin's strengths.
One comment about you're saying that it might be the future. But what we have here, we usually have two kinds of people who are saying, okay, security or the comfortability. And they are saying, okay, I can give some part of my privacy, but just to get things more comfortable. In case of Uber, if they're giving your account, they're giving some data that they need to operate. And we have, for example, pure Bitcoin payments, where you just don't have to give any permission to send, just send. So it will be always a big question about how much information you should give and what kind of service you will get. Just the trading. And I highly doubt that in some cases, with all recent things that happened with NSA surveillance and everything, that whole buzz that's going around it, that people will become more considerable about the privacy and what information they're actually giving for the service.
Yeah, I don't know. You always get mixed signals on that. Like, especially in the U.S., there's a lot of people whose lives are completely transparent and they don't care. And they will use those services all day, and there's a market for it. And then there's other people who really do care, and for whom privacy is a huge issue. And like you say, it's a trade-off, and people will make different decisions. But I think there's going to be room for both types of services.
Also, if you wait a little, Uber will implement Bitcoin quite soon. So you will pay from the mobile.
Ari, is that a problem for you? Like, if people can go online and see what you're spending your money on, is that something you'd be really concerned about, or is that something that you'd be like, I don't care?
For me, it's not a big
I was asking Ari.
Yeah, I would be concerned.
Okay. All right, any more questions from the audience? Anyone else? All right, let's go with you again.
It's not about what people see what you're doing. It's about what services see what you're doing. It's basically, you are giving out some information about yourself, and that's not only that I know that you did that. No, that's about I can predict what you will be doing next. That is the most scary part.
Okay, but like just to play devil's advocate, so why do I care?
That you can be manipulated that way.
By whom? For
yeah, it's good for you. You feel that okay, this is fine. This is right what I need. This pizza was right in the time. I didn't order it, but still, it's a little bit scary. That
I know, but like, I don't know. Like I said, you can see it either direction, right? Like you said, it's very convenient. So if people if there's a company and they have a pizza ready the second I actually get hungry, and I didn't even know I was going to get hungry, but they knew through some sort of data mining, that sounds pretty sweet to me, you know, like I have a pizza when I want it, so I don't know.
Actually, Amazon started to ship some items even if you didn't order it, because it's shipping and you can cancel this, but it makes life more easier. So you get some item and you can pay to get it, or you can say no, I don't want this. But they make these predictions with all the data they collected, your payments, your search results. Don't you think it's scary?
No. And again, like, you know, there was a lot of people saying when Facebook first came out, like, oh, no one's going to use this because, you know, no one wants to be like completely public about their stuff. And it's true that Facebook has added a lot of privacy controls to their service, and there's obviously a huge amount of demand for that. But there's still so many people who just have like Facebook profiles that are completely open. So I think the closest thing or what's probably going to happen, just pragmatically, is that people are going to add like layers of privacy on top of what's otherwise a fairly convenient solution, right? So it's going to be some sort of middle road, and then some people are going to go like tighten their settings more, and other people are going to like care less. I think that's just what it boils down to.
Any message, anything that I've done, even if I have not checked in, they can still know where I am. And that is pretty scary, because what if I'm a really like cool and famous persona and somebody wants to kill me? I mean, that sounds like but you know, it's still scary because they can find me if they want to. They have some basic knowledge, which is not very difficult to find nowadays. You just can type on Google or wherever you want, like how to hack an account, and they can just bring you some 16 steps how to hack an account, and you just follow them, and it's pretty easy. I mean, that is what I think is really scary. But the world just goes on and goes forward, and we can't stop it. So I mean, if it's something convenient, we just have to think about it, and we just have to have the basic knowledge. We have to be able to control what we are using.
When the Foursquare came in, everybody thought like, oh my god, that's the worst thing can happen. And there was a website calling grabme.com. It was a website where you can say where you are now, and the robber knows that you are not at home, so they can rob you effectively. So there's always like scaries like that, but the technology like figure out how to do it.
Yeah, what I'm saying is the technology can be scary, but if you're able to control what you're going to use, if you're able to know something about Facebook that you're using, you can be able to control whatever other people want to do to you. I mean, not 100%, but you never know. Something can be stored right now without technology. So
I actually have a Foursquare story that I can tell you, which is, you know, we have an office in San Francisco. It's at 2nd and Mission. And when we first moved in, we were kind of like, we probably shouldn't put the address on the website, you know, like, some people might think we have like huge amounts of XRP. We're going to break into our office and, you know, try to get them. There's no XRP at our office, by the way, but, you know, people might think it. And then after a while, someone pointed out, wait, our office is on Foursquare, and it turned out to be thanks to Vaya. Cheers. So I guess my point there is that, you know, just with the amount of services that are on there, like even if you have very tight privacy controls, then your friend doesn't, and they just tweet where you are, whatever, and then your information gets out anyway. I don't know. It's going to be harder and harder to avoid, and I think services are going to try to provide better privacy controls, but it's just going to be a very difficult fight, I think.
I just want to know your opinion about like where many big players in the field of e-payments, yeah, like Visa, MasterCard, other. Google has tried to develop near-field communication payments, yeah, like where is the Square, and all these guys. When we bring a new technology, we have to fight with the big guys, like who don't want to change anything because we have the control, we have your transaction history, and but I just wanted to know your opinion how it is hard and how we adapt to this situation. What are their like what do they do to prevent this?
So, I don't know, after 4 years in the industry, I have kind of a surprising lesson that I drew, which is I don't feel like we're fighting the large companies so much as just users' habits and like users' unwillingness to change their habits. Like most people out there, you know, they might not be super happy with their payments, but unless they have like a major pain points, and some of the areas where there are major pain points are in remittance because the fees are very high, or just international payments because there's no good way to get money across borders, or just people are underbanked or unbanked. They don't have bank accounts, they have credit cards and so on, and so they can't participate in the electronic system at all. But if you take those groups out and you go to like the average person in the US or in Europe or in Armenia too, like they're not really thinking about payments. They're not really like, oh, my payments suck, I want something different. So that is the biggest challenge. Is like, you know, some of the advantages of a distributed network are fairly subtle and maybe even long term. So it's hard to convince people to switch. And I think what our sort of lesson from that is, or what we're trying to do, is we're trying to integrate further up the stack, improve the systems that banks are using, which will then in turn improve the user experience at the end of the day. Like for example, if the bank isn't paying as much money for the remittance costs or the remittance that they're doing or the settlement that they're doing, they're going to charge the customer less. And you'd be surprised like how much banks are actually paying for things like international transfers and remittance and so on. There's a lot of cost that's not added by your bank, your local bank, but added by like the large global banks and so on. So if you can provide an alternative on that level so that people don't have to change anything, it's just like the fees just go down. That's the only thing they notice, right? I think that's a very powerful way to introduce that technology. So that's why we're very interested in working with like enterprises as opposed to like trying to convince like the average guy on the street to like change what they're doing. There's a comment here, sorry? No, maybe not.
I want to ask about your opinion on these experiments like Aurora Coin, this nationwide airdrops. What do you think if they have future or they will have any effect?
Do any of the other panelists have an opinion on that?
Sorry?
Aurora Coin, are you familiar with Aurora Coin?
No.
You?
Either, but I don't actually use it.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't used it either. I'm going to give a very, very boring generic answer, which is any kind of experimentation is good. So maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's not, but we'll find out. I don't know.
You mentioned the money laundering system, yeah, in Bitcoin. I mean, don't you think that it's kind of consequence of the main ideas that introduced by Bitcoin? And do you think generally you need it for the digital currency and, for example, for Ripple, yeah? Is there going to be that kind of system that is kind of available for government or, or it's going to be by third party?
So I think the view that we're taking at Ripple is that regulations are laws, they're rules. And some people will comply with the rules and some people won't. And so our job as a protocol is to default to the legal case, but ultimately give people the choice of what they want to do. So if you want to do illegal stuff, we can't stop you and we're not going to try because it's going to be futile anyway. But what we are going to do is we're going to give companies that want to run in accordance with the law and they want to comply with regulations, we're going to give them the tools that they need to do so. Whatever the rules may be, they'll be able to replicate those rules on the network. So for example, if there's a jurisdiction where if you want people to hold your assets, you have to be able to freeze those assets. That's a very common rule in a lot of countries. We're going to provide that kind of functionality. And then if you find a gateway that doesn't want to comply with that, your risk, you can do that. But if we don't give people that option, then those gateways that are legal and fully regulated and might be more stable are just not going to exist. So I don't see any value in limiting people's choices about this kind of stuff. any thoughts here? Like, should Bitcoin and Ripple, should we allow things like freezing accounts, or is it something we should just like completely ban? Okay.
Absolutely, I don't think that freezing account is an option, and I don't know whether it's possible with Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with particular exchange, it's possible. That's because they don't providing you access to your actual account. But in general, Bitcoin doesn't allow that in the platform level.
Mm-hmm. Let me respond to that. So, I don't want to talk about like things that we're still working on that we haven't officially announced yet. But yeah, you kind of touched on the most important point. Like exchanges can freeze, and I think that that's probably going to be the way that most of these platforms are going to go. That most people have their money in exchange, and then that's the level where regulations are going to be enforced. Okay.
Did you talk about Ripple Labs? Because like there was 50 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Let's. The thing is, like, I was gonna do a demo and just show you like a little bit practical how the system works, but we had some internet problems. So. Okay, we'll try it again. But if I don't have internet, then it doesn't make much sense.
It's on.
Okay. Let's see.
You can buy internet with Ripple cards. At a double price.
Do you have internet, guys?
Yeah.
Let's change.
Do you want to change the Wi-Fi? Yeah. If someone has an adapter for this to USB, would that help?
Wi-Fi, switch Wi-Fi off and then on. Maybe then.
No. Just use another one. Try this one.
Ama bir buy internet.
Umda MTS. Okay, AV MTS.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, it's connecting.
It looks like it works. It's a little slow.
But a little bit slow.
Is it working?
It's too slow, I think. Yeah.
Is it different internet? You
try again, but. Is it not loading or something?
I think it's SSH, so it adds its own.
Weird, why is it not coming up? No, it's just loading really slowly.
Guys, record.
Oh man.
Okay, just tell about this and that and questions answers again.
Yeah. Okay, I have
Presentation.
Okay, there's. Okay, it's gonna be really slow. Did I type that right? Okay, so this is like Ripple in slow motion for people have a lot more time to understand what's going on that way, so that's actually completely intentional. Okay, so here we have the Ripple Trade client. So this is a client that we've developed for traders, people who are professionally trading different currencies against one another. So those are the kinds of people who might right now be using something like E-Trade. And as you can see in this particular account, there's a couple of XRP, there's some Bitcoins, there's some Euros, and some US dollars. And basically what I can do now that I've logged into this account, I can go to Exchange tab and I can say, you know, I want to buy some XRP. So let's say I want to buy 100 XRP. And it goes to the network and it asks the network, you know, what are the different ways that I can buy 100 XRP? And so it looks at all my different balances and says, oh yeah, you can use, you know, 0.0006 Bitcoins or 29 euro cents or $39 cents and so on. And so if I want to make that conversion, I basically just go and I say, okay, I want to convert dollars, and it's like, are you sure? Yep, sure. I'm going to type my password to confirm.
I saw it.
Well, that's yours.
It's generated every 10 minutes.
Yeah, even I don't know the next one, so we're going to finish up quick here. Okay, so now it's basically going out to the server, and it's like verifying my password, and that's going to allow me to decrypt my wallet. And now it's submitting the transaction to the network. And this is where in Bitcoin we would now be waiting 10 minutes, and now it's done. So this is Ripple confirmation in action. And if I go back to the overview tab and go to history, we can see the transaction I just did. And it basically said, you know, I wanted to exchange some dollars for XRP. And it explains to you what actually happened. So there was some offer that I took. In this case, very simple case, like, you know, very straightforward exchange here. Let's see if I can find something a little more interesting. A little more. Oh, that's all I have on this account. Well, let's see if I can do a send. Maybe that send will be more complicated. So, let's.
The number now for this didn't change. Here.
What didn't change?
82.
Oh, it's I only bought 100, so it went up from 863 to 963. So let's send some money to a colleague of mine. And what kind of currency do you want to send them? Let's send them dollars. Well, let's send him $5. It's his lucky day. And I'm going to take euros, and there's a particular reason why I'm using euros here. And that is because I want to try and show you Ripple pathfinding. So Ripple is basically this giant graph of people having encoded their financial relationships. And so when you tell Ripple to make a payment, it actually goes out and like looks at all these relationships and says like, so like you could sell those dollars for some drums, and then you can use the drums to buy some XRP, and then you can use XRP to buy some euros, and then that way you can make that payment. Or you have this trust relationship with a friend of yours, and he has some euros, and then you can send him some of your IOUs, and you'll pay him back later, and then that gets converted. And like you don't have to worry about any of that; it just figures it all out for you. But that's kind of the main value in the system. So it's not really doing anything different than you would do with Bitcoin, or people right now do these things where I'm going to send you a wire, and then you can send a PayPal payment to that guy, and like he will then make an alert pay payment to Pakistan or whatever. And so like people are already doing this kind of stuff. We're trying to encode it, make it automatic, make it a lot smoother. And then also because it's all executed in one network, the transactions are atomic. So I can't get stuck halfway. So let's say I've sent someone a wire, and then they're like, oh, no, I'm not going to do the PayPal transfer or whatever. So with Ripple, either the entire transaction executes or it doesn't, which it's looking like it doesn't. So, but that's probably bad internet, so it should eventually go through. Oh, nope, typed out. Well. Okay. Let's see. But,
I'm sure it will pass.
All right. Yeah, Vi is much closer, right?
Right.
That's how it works, right? Okay. Dollars. All right. Who was it who suggested Vi? Was it Vi?
No.
Okay.
It was not.
Okay, this time went through.
I told you.
He's like hacking the system to be like only transactions to me go through. Okay, cool. So that worked. So if I go back to history and I look at what happened here, it doesn't show. Great. Vi, what's up with that? Okay. Well.
It's money laundering.
Yeah. It's like he's already taken off with it. Oh, you know what? I wonder if it's... Yeah, I disabled. Great. Don't reload. Okay. So here, something different happened from last time, okay? So you can see that even though it was a conversion from euros to dollars, there's XRP involved here. And so the reason for that is, again, this pathfinding. So if it can find a better exchange rate by converting to some other currency and then from that currency to your destination, it'll do that. And one of the reasons it'll do that is because, or one of the reasons that situation happens a lot is because if there's a lot of different gateways and a lot of different currencies, there's a lot of possible combinations between them. And it doesn't make sense to have direct markets between all of the different possible combinations. So instead, what a lot of people do is they just capitalize the market with XRP, the built-in currency, and then if your source currency has a market with XRP, your destination currency has a market with XRP, you already have like a 2-hop path at most, which is pretty good. So you're going to get a good rate going to wherever you're going. I'm not sure if that makes sense to you, but like, maybe I can show you the graph. That's going to be even a bigger ask from this internet, but we're going to try. Okay, so basically what this is like a view of the actual data in the network. I'm going to explain a little bit what this means. So you see this little dot here that is someone's account. In this case, it's my account. And what it's loading right now, and you know, this is difficult to load on like good internet, so I'm not sure if it's actually going to work or not. But what it should load is like all the different trust relationships that I have. And what a trust relationship is essentially is, I believe that if you say you owe me money, that actually has real world value. Okay, so for example, if you say like I owe you $100, I think that actually has value. The typical, sorry? Oh, nice. There you go. So these are the two entities that I have trust with, and you can see there's an arrow. So this is like not mutual trust. They don't trust me back. I only trust them. And the reason, there's a very specific reason for that, because these guys are what we call gateways. So what is a gateway? A gateway, I think the closest analog would be like a bank or like a PayPal. Basically, they're not customers of anything else. They might be customers of a larger bank or something, but in general, they're just providing people with balances. And so I say that, you know, if PayPal owes me $200, I consider that $200. You know, like I consider that real money. And so that's what I'm expressing with these trust relationships. So you can think of them kind of like they're just accounts that you have with those entities, right? And I'm going to go into some more complicated cases later, but for now, just think of them as like trust relationships. So here's that payment we just did for $5 to Vaya. So let's click that. So it's now showing like all the nodes that were involved in that payment. And as you can see, there's like more people involved than just me and Vi. So this is me down here, and this is Vi up here. And there's all these other people involved. And what those people are, those are the gateways whose assets we use. And then also market makers or traders that had offers in the network that we use to make that payment. And while that's here, while that's loading fully in, I'm going to show you something else, which is the trading functionality. So people use this client, they're traders, right? So what they do, they log in and they say, you know, I have some Bitstamp Bitcoin, and I'm willing to buy XRP with them, or other way around, or whatever they want to trade. Wherever they think they can make money, they can trade. And so there's this whole order book where we're tracking all the offers that are there. And the cool thing is that as you're making payments, you can implicitly take these offers. So if you make a payment that's going through a currency conversion, and there's a good rate in the offer book, it'll take that, and it'll just make your payment more cheaply. And compared to the current system, the system, like the actual banking system, remittance system works right now, there's a huge divide between the forex markets where people are trading currencies and the retail payments market. So we go to Forex traders and you're saying like, wow, your spreads are really big. I can make so much money trading on this. Like normally I get like a fraction of a cent. On this I get several cents. That's awesome. That's amazing. I can't read that. Oh. Okay. And then we go to the retail payments people, and they say, like, oh shit, normally I pay 5%. On this, I pay 1% or less. And so just by bringing these two parties together, you can make payments a lot cheaper and a lot faster. So thanks.
Don't look out.
No? Oh.